Hello, welcome to Sky Sweaty Record Review, episode 165. Only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the gym. I'm recording outside here. It's getting kind of dark, so the lighting is going to be moody and mysterious. I'm going to be reviewing an album. Well, it's a little mysterious, I have to say. I don't quite know what to make of this record. The record is called Ginger by Brockhampton. Now, if you are a super fan of this channel, and I'm not sure there are any super fans of this channel who I'm not married to, but if you are a super fan of this channel, you will know this is the second time I've reviewed Brockhampton. All the way back, almost a year ago, in my 8th episode, I reviewed their album Iridescence on my 8th episode. I've already said that, around 150 episodes ago. Why am I doing math? You don't care about math. So it's interesting watching this video. First of all, I think my style has improved. I've certainly learned where the camera is. You should go back and watch it just to see I make zero contact with the camera. I'm like, and so the interesting thing. But also what I was interested in was my take on Brockhampton consistent from this record to that one? So for that one, okay, I gotta admit, I couldn't rewatch the entire thing. If you've ever tried to watch yourself on video, it is torture. That's not why I don't edit videos. I try to make a lot of videos. I am a full-time French professor. My semester is starting up. Second classes are tomorrow. So I really don't have time to research or prep or edit. So the hope is that just the brilliance that pours forth from my mind will be interesting enough for you to listen to me. So I don't watch myself over again. I don't remember everything that I say. So when I rewatch this bit, what I said holds mostly true. I said that it's an album filled with unforced diversity. So I guess the lead guy of this giant group is gay, and it doesn't matter at all. It's not mentioned. I don't know. I was trying to come up with a term. Is this like Gen Z hip hop or the Obama age hip-hop, where everyone is at least trying to present being post-race and post-gender and post-sexuality? The group itself is like half white and half black, and it doesn't really seem to matter. In a similar way, a band I like much more, frankly, Injury Reserve, is a similar feeling, where it's like, if I were when I was growing up, in the 90s, you see, back when I was a young man, if there was a group and it was like white and black, you'd be like, oh my God! That's what they are. That's who they are. That's the guy's gay. They're the gay band. To its credit, it doesn't do that. It's in that way it has that great unforced diversity, and that's still here. I said that it was stylistically rich. The last album. I don't think this album is quite as stylistically rich. It's weird. So let me get more into a sort of formal review of this actual record, Ginger. Lyrically, okay, I don't feel it was as distinctive as I remember the last record. So, for most of the album, I couldn't figure out who was rapping. There's one guy who has kind of an island accented voice, and I like that. And there's another guy who does sort of the best verses, but I couldn't quite distinguish all of them. I remember on the last record, there's one guy who screamed all the time. And that was very useful. He was like the old dirty bastard, because there's 10 people in this group, and I don't know, half of them produce and half of them rap. I don't know what it is, but that ends up leaving kind of a muddled feeling. And I had that with the last record, and I find that with this one as well. I feel like they maybe the guy who used to yell stopped yelling, or he's not in the group. I don't know what. But when you have this many rappers, you need more distinctive voices. That being said, listening to this record, I would divide it into 3 separate parts, sort of in basically chronological on the record. The first part is the first 2 tracks. I can't believe I reviewed this album. The first 2 tracks are terrible. I hate them. I just hate them. They're just terrible. I do not like these tracks. I do like this record. I don't review things I don't like. But these first 2 tracks, and I think I figured out why. And this is a quiz for you hip-hop fans out there. Can you name me one good rap song where the basis is a guitar that is strummed? The closest I could come to it was No Diggity by Blackstreet, which isn't really a hip-hop song, and the guitar itself is a sample. What I mean is like the basis of the song is a guitar. It's basically always bad. It always ends up sounding like, I don't know, Sublime or Jack Johnson or ugh. So the first two tracks, just skip those. Lyrically, there's a couple interesting things that happen, but then there's the middle section. And this is what I call the Spidery section. And this is where the production gets the most interesting. In reading the credits, it seems that they have a very limited production base, and it's people who are actually in the group. So first of all, credit to them, because any rappers who can, you know, produce their own stuff, there's so few rappers that produce their own stuff. It's like EPMD, Biz Markie, Wu-Tang Clan. There's more, but not many more. So it's great that they can do that. And there is a particular trademark style that I think is most detectable from tracks 3 to like maybe track, looking over here, like track 7. And I call that Spidery, because what it is they have like a fairly simple beat, but then they have some kind of lead instrument, either like a keyboard or some kind of artificial sound, or as you will hear in the song I'm going to play for you, a horn that doesn't, you know, it doesn't just do the sort of simple hip-hop, you know, doop, doop, deep, deep, doop, doop, deep, deep, you know, like sometimes you get the sense that hip-hop producers, you know, they aren't trained musicians often, that like they don't really get beyond hitting the first and the fifths and the octaves on a keyboard. Whoever it is that's making these beats goes deeper than that. So I'll play you a little bit of the best example of this. Now the downside is that in these middle tracks, these tracks which have the great spidery beats, what I call Brockhampton beats. I don't know if they're getting the style from somewhere else, and please do tell me if you know in the credits, like, oh, these guys are a ripoff of the Axe Handles. I don't know. That's actually a good name for a band. They're actually, I'm going to show you. There actually is an axe handle here. My brother Amos, he bought this axe handle for me because he broke my axe, but I just left it out on my porch. So that has nothing to do with the Brockhampton album, but I can't tell. Is that funny? Maybe it's not. Okay, so I like this spidery beats because it doesn't sound like something I've heard before. And I wouldn't really call Brockhampton like alternative necessarily. Like they don't try to sound like acidy and super trippy and weird, but they don't sound like your everyday rap. Like none of this is trap, none of this is minimalist, really. So I'll play you a little bit of the song, If You Pray Right. If you read the tracks, you'd think that this is like a Christian album. There's a song called No Halo, Heaven Belongs to You, St. Percy, If You Pray Right, Dearly Departed, I've Been Born Again. But really, it's not. I mean, the album ends with like, Thank God for Me. So either these guys watch a lot of Jim Sterling videos, or it's not really a religious album, but it plays with religious themes. So just listen to this awesome beat, super duper awesome beat. This burp, 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 this horn. Okay, here's another question for you. What great rap songs use a horn sample? Maybe some Eminem tracks? Okay, let's have a listen.
Hallelujah, holy lion, word to Judas. How I'm supposed to trust what you say is the truest. How shall I say? Inshallah, if I got to spin my words around as if you wanted a mandala for Nirvana. Singing the sonata.
Do you hear how much it doesn't just hang on 4 or 5 notes? It's like a full 16, 17 note thing. This is a sincerely gross axe handle. I should not have picked it up the first time. Just listen to all these notes.
I got spirits in my heart that make my mom move like a swasser. Flow into the moment and avoid the melodrama. Gotta breathe for a second, but
so that's a great example of their spidery production style, quirky, offbeat rhythms and melodies. Unfortunately, I don't remember a single thing that any of them said in any of these songs. So like I said, there's 3 parts, and the third part, which I'll get to, has a lot of memorable lyrics. The first part, guitar-based, bad. The second part, the production's great, but I need more. I need more. I need more distinction. I need more good rhymes. And so that's where we get to the third part, which starts roughly around the track Dearly Departed, which is like this weird soul 70s song. And here, the beat starts slowing down. Things get a little bit less intense, a lot more minimal, and all of a sudden we start having great lyrics popping in. What this group does particularly well, and what I think is going to be a trademark of the Gen Z rappers, which I'm calling them, I don't know, is expressing vulnerability. And I don't want to get this mixed up with like the sort of like trapper, who's that guy, Juice WRLD, you know, I'm so sad because I'm sleeping with all the hoes. None of that stuff. Like actual vulnerability. There's a line somewhere in this second section where I think he says something like, it's a beautiful line. He says, I'm weak and I'm proud. Like he's actually proud of his weakness and expressing his weakness. And so here, the Spidery beats go away, and we have all these songs. Like the track Dearly Departed starts off and he's talking about who am I? Like kind of like real questions of self, which kind of dominate this last bit. The track I've Been Born Again has probably the best straight rapping on the record. Like you just want to hear good rapping, listen to that. Has like these weird creepy voices. The guy raps about woodlands, which I believe I mentioned before, is like this totally crappy part of Texas. And I don't mean crappy in the terms of like poor. I mean crappy like upscale malls. I can't believe any good culture comes out of woodlands. But here you go, we have Brockhampton. And in the I've Been Born Again, it has maybe the best lyric on the album, where it's my damn lyric. It's my new term I came up with. You know, lyrics that make me say damn. You know, right? Like it's good. He says, I express myself like I'm effing Dennis Rodman. So like that's really funny in multiple ways. I think this might be the gay guy. So first of all, it's fun to just actually say that, you know, without fear, just like whatever. But then Madonna famously had an affair with Dennis Rodman, and she sang the song Express Yourself. So it's like this simile by like 3 different degrees that's just super funny. And the fact that he calls him Dennis Rodman made me laugh. Back in the 90s, I bought a pair of Air Jordans, 1996, and my dad went in at the same time and he bought a pair of Dennis Rodmans. But he didn't know what they were called, so he called them Rudmans. Still has them to this day. Maybe I'll show them on some video. If I ever get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll show you my Rudmans. And then for the rest of this whole bit here, Dearly Departed, I've Been Born Again, another track called Big Boy. The lyrics come out, they're much stronger. The island guy, I call him, has like a slight patois accent. He does some great verses. And then it ends on the highlight of the album. And storytelling in rap, you'd think, right? You'd think that storytelling in rap, that there would be a long list of great songs that are stories, right? Again, there's not that many. Slick Rick, great at telling stories. He has a couple great storytelling songs. Another guy from Queens, Nas, famous as a great storyteller. Notorious B.I.G. has a couple great tracks about, you know, doing crimes. Scarface, you know, This Can't Be Love, you know, one of the best verses in hip-hop history. In general, even though it's a narrative form of singing, you know, even though you're just talking, there's not that many great story songs. And the last track, Victor Roberts by Brockhampton, definitely gets my stamp. It's not my favorite song in terms of production. That's definitely If You Pray Right. Barp, 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 barp. Okay? And there's other tracks in that whole middle section that are really well produced like that. But oh man, this last track is this whole tale about him being in his house in LA, and when he's a kid and he's playing with Power Rangers, and the LAPD comes in, and like his parents had 2 strikes and they were recovering addicts, and someone like gave him a bag to hold and they didn't know he had coke in it, and it's this whole story. And I only listened to it, well, I listened to it twice because it was so good. I still didn't pick up all the details of the story because it's, you know, it's wrapped very quickly. But still, the nut of the story is right there. That like it's this whole tale about like part of the crack epidemic, the way that it was lived in LA, and it's not like I'm serving up fiends. It's not like I got the bacon powder, and it's not even like my parents are crackheads. It's none of that. It's just like a little kid playing with his Power Rangers, and all of a sudden he's in the middle of the crack epidemic. It's awesome. God damn, thank you. Brockhampton for releasing this album, if for no other reason than for that song. So I don't love this record, but I'm super happy it exists. I want them to keep going. I don't really know what they're going to do. I'm excited to be witnessing this change in hip-hop. It's interesting because, like I said, there's a group, Injury Reserve, that's a trio, and they're out of like Arizona, and Brockhampton's out of Texas, so there's like this whole kind of Southwest thing going on. And I hope this keeps going. That hip hop, I want it to maintain its street roots and all that stuff, and crime dramas and all that. But this whole other form that's like alternative, but isn't quite alternative in the sense of like, the backpack rappers, and this is the real hip hop. It's like alternative to the sense where I don't really know who the audience is. And maybe Mac Miller was a similar way like that. Like rappers who are sort of pop stars, but also rappers, but not trying to be pop stars. I don't know what. It's interesting. Have a listen to it. At least listen to Victor Roberts. So this time, when I'm talking about Brockhampton, I know where the camera is. Actually, this light is really nice here. How nice is my willow? They say willows die, like young. So, anyways, for me, for the ill-advised axe handle, there's the camera.